Hey guys, Bisket with another video. So today I'm going to be making a 3D Fnaf game in Scratch. I've actually never seen a single game like this, so I actually don't really know how to do most of this stuff, but I'm going to be using a raycasting engine. If you don't know what that means, you'll see later on in the video, but a raycasting engine is kind of the only way to do 3D in Scratch at the current moment. But anyway, hope you enjoy and let's get started. Here's an example of a 3D game I found in Scratch, credit to the creator. But as you can see, it is pretty simple in its design. This one is essentially you have to find the exit to a maze. And yes, you can do third person. I won't be doing that for this one. It's fairly simple to do though. Anyway, it's also really hard to do textures in 3D, so I won't be doing that either, but I will. I do have a way to make up for that. So anyway, I'll be using this guide on the Scratch wiki on how to make my 3D engine, and links in the description if you want to be able to make one of these too. So the first step was setting up the 3D engine. So first, of course, I deleted the Scratch cat, and one of the first steps is making a black background, then cutting out parts that you essentially want to be the open spaces in your map. So I tried to make it as Fnaf-like as possible with a big main room and some hallways connecting back and forth. Then what you wanted to do is you wanted to make this tiny little player sprite, which was just supposed to be a little dot, and then essentially make the code to move around. The code to move around is essentially WASD in this tutorial, but there is some other things. Like you have to create a function, essentially you have to create a custom block essentially defining how fast your character will move in this 3D space, and of course you can change this in any time. Now, I haven't done functions very often in my games for understandable reasons, as you don't really need to use them all that much in Fnaf games, so this was one of my first times really using a function. You also had to create a couple variables, of course, etc. Now I had to create a new sprite called distance sensing. This one essentially had to calculate the distance of how far you were away from the wall constantly, essentially so the game knows how far it needs to put stuff or how far or close it needs to put the walls. This code was honestly pretty advanced, and you had to create another function, more variables, but it is really necessary to get your raycaster started. Then I had to create a new sprite, and this was essentially the draw sprite. So this essentially drew the map, making it a 3D terrain. So in order to do this, you need pen. And this, in my opinion, is the most important part of the entire raycaster, because it essentially makes the entire map 3D. If you wonder what a raycaster is it takes a 2D place and turns it into a 3D place by calculating tons of angles and stuff. This was one of the most advanced things I've done in coding, honestly, besides multiplayer and stuff in my games. There is another way to do a raycaster, which is a list-based raycaster, which looks more clean, but it is really hard to do. But anyway, I got the raycaster set up, as you can see here, and it worked pretty well. Now, what I had to do is just edit the map, make it a little bit more smooth, instead of a little bit edgy. And then anyway, I added a floor and a ceiling by simply making a backdrop that just had half of it brown, half of it gray, yeah. Then I just adjusted some angles, etc. My next step was to remove the ability to move up and down. So I removed the ability for you to hit the W key and the S key, sorry. And this essentially makes it so you can look around, but you can't move within the map since you're going to be in an office and you won't be able to move around. I probably will, if I do release this game, make like a kind of free roaming version after you beat it. So anyway, I set that up and made some edits to the map once again. Then what I did is I added a cool little graphic effect to make it darker, so some lighting. This just really sets the tone for a FNAF game, and I do recommend this for literally any FNAF game, just putting a kind of overlay, like a lighting overlay on top of it. Then, now it was time to make the cameras. My idea for the cameras was to take assets from 1A to Puffy Scrapjack Fan Edition. I did this because I didn't want to waste a ton of time making cool assets. So my idea for the cameras was for it to be kind of like a teleporter where it teleports you to a certain position on the map. Of course, we had static and stuff to actually sell that camera effect. It ended up actually working, which was pretty cool. I actually didn't expect it to work. All I did is I just took away the ability to look around in the cameras, and only made that when you're not in the cameras. I then added some static overlay, a camera button, and a camera layout just to make it better. I did this off camera because it's pretty easy stuff. My next challenge, what I had to do, is I had to make it so there was actually kind of more detail, like a texture or something, on the walls and cameras. This was pretty hard to think about how to do, because I didn't really know how to make textures, but eventually I did get it figured out, and essentially what I did...
Look at the top of his head!
Anyway, my idea was essentially to have an overlay over top of the camera so it looked like it was 3D, but it's technically just a 2D overlay. So for the first camera, I tried to make a stage, which oddly took me a very long time, so I ended up just doing some celebrate sign and then a couple little boxes and stuff. So to make sure this worked, I just did some simple coding, essentially putting it on top of the raycasting layer, but behind the static layer. Sorry, I can't talk right now. And then I just added some signs, etc. and stuff like this. I did proceed to do this for the rest of the cameras too, since it actually worked and it was a very good idea. Now what I wanted to do is add a flashlight effect, so essentially what you can do is you can press space to activate the flashlight, it plays a little sound and everything brightens up. It is harder to do this in 3D, but I did actually get it to work, which worked perfectly well. And that's what I've done so far. If you want me to release this game, I will if this video gets really popular, and I also finish in add menus and stuff. So what it is, I added 10 more cameras, all with that overlapping texture, and even tried to make a circular room right here, which is a ball pit. I thought that the rendering would glitch out, but it actually didn't, so that's pretty cool. So you can do circles instead of squares. You can look around. I finished the flashlight, and yeah, that's pretty much it, but I will post it again if this video does do good, and finish it and add animatronics, menus, etc., and probably do a trailer. Anyway, on that note, guys, hope you enjoyed, and bye!